thewellnesscouch.com, streaming wellness into your lives. This is Up for a Chat with Cyndi O'Meara, Carren Smith, and Kim Morrison.
Here we are, up for a chat about the hottest topics that are important to you, inspiring you to awaken the change within. I'm Carren Smith.
I'm Kim Morrison.
And I'm Cyndi O'Meara.
And we are really excited about today's podcast because it's actually going to be quite educational, one thinks. One thinks that the topic of dairy should be quite an interesting topic for those of us that loathe and detest it. And one thinks that the topic shall be quite interesting from the perspective of those that live for it, i.e. Cyndi O'Meara, Kim Morrison. So one, being me, loathes and detests the whole dairy thing because it's just kind of, I don't know that it's cool. Were we ever born to drink the milk of an animal other than human? One would question, one being me, one would question, would we drink the milk of our hound that lies in the backyard once she's lactating? One would question, would we drink the milk of a pig that is lactating? One would question, would we drink the milk of some other kind of an animal that lactates? What other animals lactate?
They all do. All mammals lactate.
All mammals. Okay, well, there's one's question to thou.
Wow. Kangaroo. Don't they lactate? Don't they have their little
They
teeth?
do. They do. Kangaroos lactate.
Whales.
Would we drink the
Whales,
milk of
dolphins.
other animals? Do they have milk?
Yeah, I think they're mammals. Look at us.
They are. No,
We're a bit
dolphins
stunned.
Dolphins are mammals.
Actually,
I do believe whales are.
I'm a little bit
Whales
stunned because you know what you've actually
You weren't expecting me to raise
No.
that. See, as soon as I say one,
Yes.
it all of a sudden brings in another person into the conversation, and then all of a sudden you can't shoot me down because it's not me, it's one.
I love you.
But this is the question around all of dairy that I've had for many, many moons, is that I would not, and we would not as humans, drink the milk of animals that lactate. At what point did we decide that it was acceptable to drink the milk of cows that lactate? And there's the whole question of the way that our dairy cows are cared for and the cruelty.
Not cared for.
Well, this is it. This is my point. This is one's point. That our cows are not cared for, and there's the whole ethical issue that gets thrown in there for one, being me.
Yes.
Yes.
I get that.
And then one who comes from a very dairy country where we've grown
Dairy country.
A dairy country.
up. We have. New Zealand is the epicentre of dairy products.
I thought it was sheep.
And sheep. So you could have a drink of milk with a rack of lamb.
Yeah, go with that.
Yeah, nice.
How's that working out for you over there?
But it's true. I mean, New Zealand is known very much for its high-quality dairy products. And I just got back from New Zealand, actually, and I was just making the comment to my husband about, gosh, New Zealand cows look healthy. I mean, when I drive out to Kingaroy here in Queensland and I go inland, these cows look very dehydrated. I'm sure they're going to produce dry whey or something. But the cows in New Zealand, they produce very, the milk is, and it's rich, and the butter tastes amazing, and everything dairy. I can see why New Zealand is a mecca. It's a very wet country. The grass is always green, so the cows eat what they're meant to eat. They don't get they get supplemented with hay. I've stayed on a few farms at times, and I've milked cows. I've been shat on by cows while I'm standing there milking the cows. And
I don't blame them. Don't blame them. If you were pulling on my you-know-whats, I'd probably shat on you too. I would.
Well, when I was on this farm
I would
in
say
particular,
enough of that.
They always brought the bull through with his cows. So there was always one bull in the... Is it a herd of cows? Yeah, it's a herd, isn't it?
Yeah,
It's a herd of cows. So they'd come. The bull would come through, and he'd come through, and all of a sudden you'd look up, and there's these big gonads looking at you, wouldn't you? And the farmer would say, "Give them a tickle while you're here." No joke. Serious. They're both looking at me very weird. I didn't do it. I'm still stuck on you shitting on me if I tweaked yours. But yeah, it is,
From a great height, let's just go there.
From a very young age, we in New Zealand we grew up going to dairy farms. Every week we saw how cheese was made. We watched cows being milked. That's a typical experience of a Kiwi kid.
Well, I remember the milkman. I remember...
You look quite like him too.
That explains everything.
Oh my gosh. But anyway, I remember the milkman. And he used to be on a horse and cart, and you would hear him in the mornings dropping the bottles off. Yeah, this was the 60s. And he would drop the bottles off and collect the other bottles. And it came in this metal crate where there were 4 bottles. And Mum would put in like 2 bottles if she wanted 2 bottles of milk. And she'd put the money in there and we'd leave it out the front of the door.
We did the same thing when we were kids.
It was a horse and cart in the beginning. And then it went to... Oh, maybe I'm imagining the horse and cart.
She's love.
What was in the milk?
Maybe it was...
Maybe you saw that on a movie.
Maybe I did. Maybe it was a
That's
truck.
more like a
Maybe
movie.
it was a truck.
And it always smelt sour.
Do we have to start this podcast again? Seriously.
No, sometimes you have this dream, and maybe it was a dream.
It was a movie. It's a movie.
I'm going to ask my dad. I'll ask my dad. He will remember.
Yeah. But it's true. And we used to put out... And I tell you what was
Maybe
the big...
it was a truck.
I tell you what was the big thing. Mum and Dad owned a dairy. Now, a dairy in New Zealand is a milk bar. So when we were young kids, now we used to have to do the milk. The milk truck would come very early in the morning, and Mum and Dad would go over. They'd do the bread and the milk. That's what arrived very early in the morning for the day's sales. But we used to put the milk bottle out, so a glass bottle, we'd put the dollars in or the coins in there. But you could the big thing that happened during my era of growing up was homogenisation. So we all used to fight over the cream in the top of the silver top milk. And it would be whoever got there first would get the cream to go on the porridge and things like that. Whereas homogenisation came in. And I remember my mum, who was very conscious, she was a young, beautiful, fit, healthy-looking woman. And she was so excited with homogenisation because of the fat. Fat started to be spoken about as quite, I guess, a negative thing then, which I guess is why homogenisation started. But then we went to blue top. And then the next big thing was green top, which was trim milk. So we just started going down this whole path. And I also remember milk cost 4 cents for a litre and cream cost 8 cents for half a litre. Cream was a lot more. Wow. And that was just when I was a kid. So that's only 30, 20...
56 years ago.
40 years ago. I don't think it was that long. But it's interesting, isn't it? Whereas our kids will never have an experience of putting the milk out for the night, the night before.
Yeah, no. But you never know. Things are coming, full swing and things are turning around. But, the question is, should we be drinking milk? So let's go back in history just a little bit, like maybe 20, 30,000 years. So the thought was that when the hunter-gatherer killed an animal, they ate every part of it and used every part of it. So let's say they killed a mother mammal, animal. They would have been drinking the milk at that stage. There's that thought that we were, even as hunter-gatherers, we did use the milk. There's also the thought that we had domesticated animals as hunter-gatherers and did use and drink their milk. Now, have we had a genetic change that we're able to do that? There's some question about that. But if you read the blood type diet, and the blood type diet says that the blood type O's were the hunter-gatherers, the blood type A's were the agricultural revolution, but the blood group B, which he believes is the only people that can really successfully eat dairy, were from the herding society. So, there are still societies that are still living on milk. Somalia is one place where, their biggest diet is the milk and the blood of animals. So, and I may have that wrong, but I do know that there are societies that have either drink the blood of the animal or drink the milk of the animal and use the product of that. So we know that there are still societies that do it and live quite healthy on it. So yes, we are the only animal that after we've been weaned, we continue to drink the milk of another animal. Is it right? Is it wrong? Is it healthy? Should we do it? Who knows? But what we do know is that societies do it, and we have been doing it. So the herding society, they believed, happened around 10,000 years ago. That was when we started to domesticate a lot of animals and started to probably not eat their produce, as far as their meat goes, but started to use the milk that we got from it and started to figure out how to make yogurts and cheeses and all of those things that we now enjoy today. So I guess that begs the question, should we be drinking it? So I want to just go back to what you were saying before, Kim, and that was the homogenisation of milk and the pasteurisation of milk and the fiddling with milk. So once upon a time, it was one bottle of milk with a silver top on it, remember? Mm-hmm. There was no skimming, trimming, revving, shaping, homogenising, pasteurisation. There was nothing. Well, the pasteurisation did come in at that stage. But we now have one animal that we get lots and lots of milk, goes into tankers, and then hundreds of cows have produced a milk that goes into one bottle of milk. Mm-hmm. So it's no longer we're drinking just one animal's milk. We're drinking hundreds of animals' milk going into one bottle. Do you see what
absolutely.
I mean here? That's number one. That's one thing that I don't know if it's right or wrong, actually. I have a real struggle with that one. Number two, we started the pasteurisation process, and the pasteurisation process was that tuberculosis and brucellosis was indicated as something that was being passed through the milk of the cow. So in Australia, we started to pasteurise milk to get rid of brucellosis and tuberculosis. Then in 1978, there was a vaccination campaign and a shooting campaign where they wanted to get rid of tuberculosis and brucellosis out of the cow population, both for dairy and otherwise. And they did. They eradicated it, but we continued to pasteurise our milk. Then nobody wanted the cream on the top anymore, and they wanted milk to be, something that was even, and so they started the homogenisation process. And the homogenisation process is where they force the milk through a very fine sieve, and they break long chain fats and put them into very short chain fats that are not normally found in milk. And that's what creates that homogenisation process. Rather than the cream on the top, we've actually, it's all filtered through. All the milk is filtered through.
Am I right in hearing that the homogenisation process almost splinters the molecules?
It does. It does. And what they're finding is that there was a lot of research done, this is years ago, 30 years ago, where the homogenisation process is when we drink milk fat, it's a long chain of fat, and it goes into the lymphatic system, it's cleaned out, processed, and then goes into the blood system and the body uses it. When we splinter the fat and make it into tiny particles, it misses the lymphatic system, goes straight into the blood system. It's one of the things that we believe is causing inflammation within the blood system, which then causes all sorts of problems, which we'll talk about at another podcast. But basically it could be causing inflammation of the blood vessels, causing arteriosclerosis or calcified arteriosclerosis. So, these are all the things that we're just beginning to find out, even though we knew about this probably. I remember reading this research 25, 30 years ago. Then there's the skimming, the trimming, the adding of calcium.
Fortifying,
putting vitamin D in it, putting all these things in it. Like if you have calcified milk or milk that's got calcium in it, you'll find that there's a white, chalky stuff
powder
at the bottom. Yeah, well, it's cheap calcium. It's like dolomite, it's rock. We don't eat rock for our nutrition. Why are we going to put calcium into our milk? So it's become an industry where they're trying to keep up with everything. They say there's a high calcium in milk, let's just add more and let's add it in the rock form. The fat's no good, let's take the fat out. We need fish oil. I've seen fish oil in milk.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, it's Farmer's Own. I don't know if it's still in New South Wales, but I remember looking at it one day and I read the ingredients. There was like 15 ingredients and the last ingredient was a fish oil. Now, if the cow is eating grass, he will actually have high omega-3 in the butterfat, within the fat.
She,
sorry, yes. Did I say he? Oh, God. You can tell it's been a long day for me. Up very early. So, yes, her milk will have, in the butterfat, will have a high omega-3. But if she's not having grass-fed, if she's not grass-fed and she's eating something else, then that omega-3 won't be there. And what I find absolutely fascinating is that, we kill the fish to get the fish oil, yet all we have to do is eat a good quality butter and we will get the omega-3, or good quality meat. And I know Carren is going to have a fit here, but A good quality meat will also, which is grass-fed, will also have omega-3.
And does cow... this is going to be a really stupid question. Has a cow got 4 stomachs?
It chews its cud. So it eats the food and pulls it back up again and chews it. And yes, it has...
I thought it had 6.
Yeah.
Oh, so it wasn't a stupid question.
No,
Let me Google that.
Yes, Google that. I'm not really sure exactly how many, but I know it's it does chew its cud. That's why you keep seeing it.
Yeah, chewing all day.
It regurgitates the grass, chews it, and puts it down again. Yes, you check how many stomachs it's got.
I had a grave misfortune of watching a documentary, and I don't even know what it was called or how I stumbled upon it. But our cows have been fed in the corn because corn's a really cheap feed for them. And because their digestive system isn't structured to be able to eat corn, what ends up happening in one of their stomachs is their stomach blows up and it explodes, which obviously kills the cow. What I saw was these cows all on their sides being lifted with forklifts and dumped in these great piles, still alive, but they were
I've seen that.
they were so big and bloated that they couldn't actually move.
What was that? Food Inc. I think that was in Food Inc. The
Was
movie
it?
Food
Yes,
Inc.
and
yeah.
And they showed that they cut a big hole in the side of the cow.
Yes, and it had a hole in it. And he put his hand in.
Yeah, to pull out the corn because they can't digest the corn. I think it's just amazing.
Okay, so here, technically, a cow does not have 4 stomachs, but rather 4 digestive compartments within their stomachs. The 4 digestive compartments in order are 1, reticulum, 2, rumen, where the bacteria breaks down from cellulose to plant material, 3, omusum, absorbs water and digestible nutrients, and 4, abomasum, which would be the true stomach as in humans. But if you are asked the question, how many stomachs does a cow have, the simple answer is 4.
So,
right, okay,
we got that.
Got it.
Yeah.
Well, no, it's kind of 4, but sort of not.
Yeah, that was really helpful.
So so they're called ruminants.
Yeah.
And they're used to eating grass, and then you feed them corn, and they're trying to regurgitate that corn up.
Oh,
that
I
must be
like
what's happening.
And the same, apparently, I read, I don't know if it was in the same documentary, the same is true of our farmed fish. They're feeding our farmed fish corn.
Yes.
And fish were never meant to eat
Yes.
corn. They don't
No.
eat corn.
And I've heard they feed them a dye.
Yeah,
Makes
to keep
them more red.
And the
Yes,
salmon
yes,
makes the
yes.
salmon red. Yeah, I've heard that too.
That's another one that we can
Amazing.
do. Yes, another podcast. But let's stick with the dairy at this
Go
point.
with the
but then they
cows.
put the fish oil in the
Yeah,
dairy.
in the dairy.
And to increase the omega-3, all they have to do is feed it grass. Are the cows that we get from, Paul's Milk or all of the big companies that are out there, they're getting their milk from so many sources. Are some grass-fed? Are some grain-fed? Look, it would be lovely to have our own cow. It would be lovely, and then we'd know. But I think the issue is, should we be drinking milk? I think there are some people that can drink it, and there are some that can't. A lot of our milk has been fermented, so in the way of kefir and yogurts and cheeses and soft cheeses, and all of these are a fermentation process where the milk is already pre-digested before we actually consume it. And they're saying that is a better option for us. But there are
That's the
some
way
people...
Indians, they
that's
do
the way
that
they
with
did
their
it.
food, don't they? A lot of the indigenous cultures. I just remember when we were on the farm staying as kids, we would be at breakfast and the farmer would bring the milk straight from the cow. It was still warm. So he'd done the milking that morning and she's gagging. But he would bring the milk in a little pail. Like, it's actually really weird when you think about it. Well, it's not weird. It's actually beautiful. From that cow that had been milked, he'd bring it in, and the milk was very yellow. It's not white like it is now. And then as it set, and he was so proud to show us how the cream would then sit on the top and all of that. Then we'd have it in the fridge. And to me, that's raw milk, isn't it? That's raw milk. So we're not allowed to sell raw milk.
No, it's illegal. It's illegal in Australia to sell raw milk unless you sell it as a skin product, a cosmetic, so like Cleopatra's bath milk or Aphrodite's bath milk or just bath milk. And the same goes with cream. Everything has to be pasteurised, and even cheese. In Australia, you cannot make raw cheese, but you can make it in Europe and then import it into Australia and sell imported raw cheese. It's like I really don't understand why we continue to do this. Like, the reason why we started to pasteurize milk was because of the tuberculosis and the brucellosis. The thing is that not everybody got sick. Only people with who had compromised immune systems would get sick. So we're pasteurizing the milk for people who have suppressed immune systems. And we continue to pasteurize it, and what it does is it kills, one of the enzymes it kills is lactase, and lactase helps you digest lactose. And if you have a genetic predisposition where you don't make the enzyme lactase, then you're going to be intolerant to milk, and you just can't drink it. But when you eat, some people can't drink milk, but they can have yogurt. Mm-hmm. And the Hindus are the longest civilization that has had a vegetarian diet, but they always would eat yogurts and kefirs and butters and ghees, and they use, the cow was sacred, but they used the produce, and they made things from it.
Mm. And do you think today with milk, with the way it's all going, is the way we're manipulating the milk the reason why people have a lactase, an issue of not creating the lactase, or did that come before the milk started being interfered with?
Look, I think, as I said in the beginning, there are communities that drink milk, and as the blood type diet goes, is that they say that they're the blood type Bs, and the ABs as well, by the way, because AB is a mix of blood type As and Bs, and they seem to be able to drink milk. So, what was your question again? All of a sudden I went,
was it the lactase was the issue, or was it the manipulation of the milk that caused the lactase problem? I actually believe it's the manipulation of what we've done to the milk, what we've done to our cows, our pasteurisation, our homogenisation, the amount that we drink. We drink it every day. The Dairy Corporation, have got their foot in the door with calcium, got their foot in the door that we should be having it for our protein. So everywhere they can find us to drink more milk. And we've got dietitians and nutritionists that actually say, or actually are part of the dairy board, and are saying we should be drinking this stuff. So were you part of the revolution that had to have a glass of milk at school a day?
Yeah. Every single day.
See, we weren't.
Oh, weren't you?
No, we were quite young.
Oh. Mind you, though, when I was a kid, we had the milkman come to the door, and they were in 600ml glass bottles, and we would always get, 8 or 9 glass bottles every week because there were 5 of us in the family, and I would scull a glass bottle every day, a 600ml glass bottle every day, straight from the bottle. They all knew that was mine. And now I'm intolerant to it, obviously. But it's it was just part of what we thought. And my mum always used to say to me that having a glass of milk was as good as having a meal. So if I didn't want to eat my dinner, she would just sit me down with my bottle of milk. I would drink that and happy days. And she would go to bed knowing that I had my nutrition, because she felt that was. Yeah. Well, that was not that she felt that, but that was how we were educated, that a meal was in a glass. And if you had 2 glasses and you were a growing kid like me, then it was a good thing.
See, I've always seen milk as a condiment, not as a food source. So use it to make some things if that's what you want, and I mean dairy, I shouldn't say just milk. So to me it's not a food source, and I would never say to anybody now, have it in place of a meal. Because I think, number one, what we've done to our cattle, and by the way, a lot of our cows have mastitis. A lot of them are on antibiotics.
But that's why they're on the antibiotics.
Yeah.
Well, interestingly enough, I've been sort of going through a bit of an article here just in defence of our beautiful little cows. What lands up happening is the calves, well, it starts with the impregnation of the cow, which is brutal. And then they inject the cows, and there's been studies done, and they're not quite sure if this is how many farms are still doing this, but based on the increased volume of milk that's being produced, they're assuming that this particular practice is on the increase, where they inject the cows, pregnant cows, with corticosteroids to induce an early birth, because they don't want the cow going full term. It's wasting money. So they want the cow in the milking herd sooner. So they're injecting our cows with the corticosteroids to induce an early birth. And for a lot of the situations, the calves are being born, and they don't obviously survive. But the ones that do survive, they're taken away within 12 to 24 hours. of being born. Now, cows have got a real strong bond, like elephants with their young. And the cow goes into incredible stress. And I'm just reading here that the separated cows, obviously, the separated calves are bewildered and frightened, but the mother cow will frantically bellow for days because her offspring's been taken away from her. And that happens to make sure that she continues to be milkable. And then a calf will drink from its mother for 12 months. So they get that much time out of the milking for the cow. But interestingly enough, a normal cow will live, a healthy cow will live up to 7 times longer than our dairy cows will. A normal cow that's allowed to be a normal cow, that's on a farm, that's looked after and loved, and has its little calf and is allowed to suckle the calf, and then we still take our milk as well. And that normal cow will live 7 times longer than a dairy cow will live because of the mastitis, because of the antibiotics, because of all of the pain and the stress that cow goes through. And because the udders are left to get so big, it actually tears the ligaments and tears the muscles away. So then the cow's in incredible pain, but because the cow's producing milk still, we're going to milk the hell out of it.
Or we'll give it more drugs to stop the pain so that we can get more out of it.
And they kill the baby the boy potties.
Yeah.
They kill them because they don't want the boys.
And they're killed within 5 to 6 days.
Yeah, they kill them. Do you know, when I was a teenager, I would go to a farm in Gunbower. And it was actually the main farm of Gunbower, and the Johnsons owned it. And I learnt a lot about animals and horses and cows, and they had the most beautiful cow there. And every morning Jenny Johnson would go out and she would milk that cow. And that cow, I remember it there for years and years and years. We would go every year, and she was treated like a queen, an absolute queen. And she had her babies, and if there was no milk available, then we didn't have milk. And I remember she would cook up porridge. Actually, her mother lived on the property as well in a separate or in an adjacent house, and she would make the porridge in the morning in this big pot. Then the pot would come to the main house where we all were. The porridge would be poured out, the fresh milk would be poured on, and that was our breakfast. That's how I remember it. One cow, not 100 cows contributing to one bottle. We would scrape the cream off, and we would have cream the next day. We would make butter, so we would churn the butter, and from that we'd have buttermilk, and then the buttermilk would be made to make pancakes. And then the whey, if there was any whey, if we made a culture from the milk to make yogurt, then we would sieve and get the whey out, and then the whey would make the sourdough for the bread.
Right.
So, it was
a normal process.
It was a normal process, and that's where I learnt, everything about it. These days, buttermilk, I look at buttermilk. It's not real buttermilk. All they do is get milk and put lemon in it. Buttermilk is when you separate the cream from, you do the churning of the butter, and you're left with the buttermilk, and it makes a beautiful, rich pancakes or foods like that. Well, when I used to do things like that, I don't anymore.
I make that for Matt, actually.
Did you?
Yeah, because Matt's big on his breads and butters and things. So I get the normal cream and I put it through the Thermomix, and it separates the butter from the buttermilk. And then I take the buttermilk and make bread. And it makes the most beautiful yellow, gold, and he loves it.
I think we've lost our traditional ways.
I think we're also greedy.
Well, and the commercialisation.
Yeah.
I don't know if... I don't think people are really aware of the commercialisation of our animals and what happens and how that milk gets into our container and how they're pasteurising as opposed to how they used to pasteurize. Like I've heard that the pasteurisation process now goes through plates, like these plates, and it's forced through these plates, which causes the damage of the protein. This is, these are the things that I'm starting to learn. Whereas once upon a time, pasteurisation was poured in a tank. It is heat.
Oh, it is?
Yeah, so they're hot plates.
Oh.
And they're forced through it, and it's the damage that's happening through it. So it used to be, I remember, large vats, and they would pasteurise in the large vats, but it takes too long to heat up and then to get it into the bottle. So now it goes through, a quick process. We've lost that contact with our food, and we don't look at food the way it used to be.
There's no harmony.
There is no harmony with this, and it's become a very commercial process. And I think if people understand this commercial process, they might start to really think about where they're getting their dairy from, and how the ice cream is made, and how cottage cheese is made, and how feta cheeses are made. And there's a beautiful lady up here in the hinterland. We live on the Sunshine Coast, so there's a lovely lady up in the hinterland, and she actually goes through the whole process of making cheeses. How a cheese is made, how a brie is made, how a feta is made, how's a ricotta made, how's a cottage cheese made. And I love that, getting back to how all these things are made rather than just seeing it in a pot of plastic. And, one of the things that Changing Habits is doing is bringing back the old-fashioned yogurt making. So instead of going to buy a commercial lot of yogurt, you can actually get the actual bacteria that makes yogurt and put it in there and produce your own yogurts, which are in harmony with the way yogurts were always made. And I've spent 4 hours basically in this place in Italy that's been making cultures for cheeses and dairy since 1875 or somewhere like that. Same families owned it, same generation, it's different generations, but the same family has owned it. And I started to really learn about what yogurt was. And so I came home and I started to read even what I thought was a good yogurt. And I noticed that they're putting milk protein concentrates in it. So that's called an MPC. And a milk protein concentrate is the waste of the dairy market. And they needed to have something that they could do with it. So they make whey protein concentrates out of it, but they're adding it to our yogurts to thicken our yogurts unnaturally instead of the old-fashioned way.
There's a product that I read ages ago, and I thought it was whey, but I was obviously wrong. That product is paint stripper and degreaser for your engine, and I thought it was whey.
Oh.
But maybe it's not. Maybe it's this
Does
other...
that permeate?
I don't know. It was, it would have been about 10 years ago when I first started exploring not doing the whole milk thing. And I remember reading something, and gosh, I wish I could remember where it was. I'll have to do some research on it and come back to you. But it was that this particular product, a byproduct of a milk, that, I'm sure it was milk. Oh gosh, I could be lying about this now. But the body couldn't digest it. It was non-biodegradable. So in order to get rid of it, they put it in our foods, they put it in paint stripper and engine degreaser and all of that sort of thing. And I thought it was whey. Am I
It
wrong?
could be whey or it could be permeate. And actually, I did read something about whey that when they're making the cheeses and everything, it does become a waste product. So maybe it's that what they're using. I don't have that knowledge. But we can always look that up. But one of the things that I found quite amusing is that permeate is another waste product of cheese making and in the dairy industry.
I was going to ask you what that is, because that's the big thing now where they're saying our milk doesn't contain permeate.
Yeah, so permeate was always added because it increased the protein volume of the milk, and it was just something that they did. It was a waste product and they put it in there. And then they get caught. This is what happens, is the big companies got caught putting permeate in, which is known as the waste product. And they created this whole campaign about that they were permeate free. So for the companies that were not putting permeate in, they were always permeate free. It was never something that was done. But the big companies were putting permeate in to increase their profits and to increase the volume of the milk. Yeah. And they said about protein, etc. So then when they got caught, they had to remove it, and then they put on their packaging permeate free as though they were the big wigs. It really annoyed me. It annoyed me. I just went, oh my gosh, when they get caught, then they're going to make out they're permeate free. Then all the beautiful boutique dairies that have always been permeate free, then, they're going to lose their market share because people they just don't think. They just don't understand what's happening.
Well, nobody even knows what permeate is, though. When they started running the campaign saying that they're permeate free, everybody was thinking, well, what the hell is permeate?
Yeah, they just wanted to, have a point of difference in the market when in actual fact they were adding permeate if you'd had a look. They got caught, basically. But our beautiful local dairies such as Cleopatra's Bath Milk or Mullaney Dairies or Kalula Dairies were, they're our boutique milk. And if, really, the way I look at it, if you want to buy milk, buy boutique.
Yeah.
Buy your small dairies. And if you want to find a farmer and have a share in his cows, because that's how you do it. You can actually buy real raw milk by having this type of share in the. It's the only legal way of doing it.
Wow.
They do it here on the coast. They do it in a lot of places. You know, Western Price have a beautiful. Their Western Price chapters or foundation has a place where you can go, and you can go to the Australian chapter of it, or wherever you are in the world, you can go to it. And you can actually look at and finding these boutique dairies and people who will find these raw dairies for you. You know, like, I'm just talking about Australia, but like I said, we have a worldwide audience now.
Yeah.
So you have to find out in your country whether you can buy raw. I was in England with Janie, who is the head of Thermix in England, and we found a dairy that had raw milk, and we just went in and bought it from the shelf or from the fridge. It was just, you know, it's really cool. So it really depends on what country you're in and what's right, what's legal and what's not legal. In America at the moment, what they're doing is some states are allowing raw milk, whereas other states are not allowing it. Yeah. What was interesting is, and I think this is a really good story, is when I first came to the Sunshine Coast, I found Pet's milk. So it was milk only for your pet.
Yeah, well, what's that about?
Yeah.
It's a lactose-free one, isn't it?
No, this was back years ago. So it was
Right.
called Pet's milk, and it was raw milk.
Yeah. Oh my
And I
goodness.
used to buy 2 litres for $1.45.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I knew that it was just raw milk, and it was this person's way of selling milk.
Yeah.
Because of him, they put in legislation that you could not give your animals raw milk. So he had to change his name from Pet's Milk to Cleopatra's Bath Milk.
Ah.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, that's why it went from Pet's Milk, because of the legislation. Now, the cosmetic industry is far bigger. And for them to come down on the cosmetic industry that you cannot have any raw material or raw milk or raw dairy or whatever it is.
It's also far less regulated as well.
Is it?
Yeah,
Far less regulated.
Far
Yeah.
less.
So he was able to do that. But I spoke to this beautiful man, this beautiful dairy man, and I said to him, you know, what if they come down with that? He said, I'll use it as plant fertiliser. I'll sell it as plant
I'll
fertiliser.
find a way.
I'll find a way. He says, nothing will stop me from selling what I believe is a pure food. So, yeah, he said, I'll just call it plant fertiliser. I thought that was brilliant, you know. When are they going to stop that?
So some of the ingredients that they use milk... some of the products that they use milk in, say like ice cream or...
Yeah.
You know, when I'm standing at the counter at the supermarket and you look in the dairy section, I used to say the best place to walk around in a supermarket is around the outside. Now I avoid the bread section. Fruits and vegetables are highly sprayed, and I freak over there.
And do you know
meats-
what I've just learned about fruit and veggies? Is that one of our major supermarkets here in Australia, they have a policy that before the customers come in, that they spray fly spray over our fruits and veggies.
No way.
Yeah.
Oh, that actually makes me sick.
Yeah. I don't know it for sure. This was an ex-employee who actually told me.
Well, you could imagine that, because they would have fruit flies
fly.
galore, because
Yeah.
all the fruit is
Yeah.
off.
And he was in Queensland. So maybe it's in our subtropical, tropical region, but they put fly spray.
Oh, you'd see that.
They
I could
spray
see that.
I know. So really,
Wow.
being the person who goes around the outside of the grocery store now is something where we go, let's just stick to our local
No,
produce.
do you know, that's what I'm going to say. I've just changed my philosophy. 10 years ago, I would say, don't go up the middle aisles of a supermarket. Do your shopping all around the outside. Now today, I'm going, actually, you know what? Go to your farmer's market.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. Just
go to your local
Just go
market.
to the shopping centre for toilet paper.
Yeah, well, that's all you need.
Um,
And you can go to pharmacists for that now.
Yeah.
Or Big W or one of your... Any store has it
Any
now.
store's got it.
With our Thermomixes, we make our own ice cream, which I love. And I do enjoy ice cream. I probably don't enjoy it now as much because I don't eat as much dairy anymore, but it was one of my treats for me, ice cream. And living in New Zealand, ice cream is big. Hokey pokey, say no more. But what is extraordinary is when my children were born and then I started getting, they might have a little bit of ice cream, it actually started freaking me out over the years. So I've got a 15 and a 13-year-old. The ingredients in ice cream has changed quite significantly.
Massively.
And ice cream ain't ice cream anymore.
No.
No, it's a bunch of colours, additives, fillers, thickeners, I don't even know if there's much
petroleum.
cream in that anymore.
I don't know that there
products.
is even cream in them.
I don't know.
I think from the one that I used to get for Matt, because Matt's a big ice cream lover, he's reduced from 4 litres a week down to 2.
Oh, you're doing well, darling.
I know,
Oh, my
I
God.
know. But it's good because he eats my Thermi ice cream.
Well, that's good.
Yeah, I make him a Thermi ice cream.
He does us. Oh, yeah,
okay,
good.
Yeah. But see, because now he's getting the beautiful, rich, gorgeous, natural ice cream that I make him.
And does
he wants less of it.
I was going to say, and he probably wouldn't even want to eat that stuff anymore, would he?
Well, no, he's tempted.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, no.
Not quite there yet.
On a bad day, no, he's tempted with Mr. Whippy Van. You know, the little van that comes around with a little music on the thing? Yeah, the worst kind. The worst kind.
Now, is it true in McDonald's and places like that that do
Pig
these
fat.
Yeah.
That's what I've heard
Apparently.
too. Pig fat.
Apparently. Don't know. Just saying.
Yeah, we're just saying. We don't know,
putting it out
but
there.
there's some weird things that are happening out there in the food industry, and I'm never surprised anymore.
Well, here's my tip. Here's
Yes.
my hot tip of the week. Ready, everybody? My hot tip straight from Kazza to you.
Kaz's Corner.
Kaz's couch right here.
Kaz's couch.
Kaz's couch, we're on it. Go the nut milk.
Oh.
Freeze.
Yes.
The coconut cream. Freeze the coconut cream in ice cube trays. Shut the front door. Throw in some frozen strawberries, little bit of raw cacao, a smattering of something fabulous like some of that Rapadura sugar dissolved.
Oh, yeah, the Malayo.
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 Stop it. And then throw that through the blender or the Thermomix with half a banana just to give it nice thick consistency. OMG. Or, better still, ready? Better still,
Kaz's Kitchen, not Kaz's Corner.
Or couch.
throw in some cashews that have been soaked overnight with some, what are those big ones? Brazil nuts?
Yeah.
That have been soaked
Yeah.
overnight. I'll stop it because that just adds a little bit of crunch to your ice cream. Because the cashews go beautiful and soft, but the Brazil nuts, they stay a little bit hard. So throw those in with some coconut cream and frozen coconut cream cubes with strawberries and a little bit of banana and or cacao or mango cheeks. OMG. Can you hear what I'm saying? Are you picking up what I'm putting down?
Do you know one of the ice creams?
I'm rocking.
Yeah, she is rocking. She's rocking. Yeah, she is. Do you know one of the ice creams that Tanya and I always make? We always freeze our bananas and we put frozen banana and the soaked cashews.
Oh,
and that's it. Oh, and macas. You could do it with macas.
Yes. Macadamias.
Yeah, and macadamias. And we just put that in and we churn it.
Yeah.
And then I make up a coconut milk and rapadura sugar syrup.
Praline, like a praline.
And then we just throw it in. Just
Hey,
throw it in.
and now
It's beautiful.
let me tell you something else on that note.
I could cry.
Your cacao wafers and some rapadura sugar and coconut oil. Melt a little bit of that in a pan. When you're doing the second freeze of your ice cream, so you know how you do your first freeze.
No, don't do that at all.
If you're making normal ice cream, you will heat the milk and melt the sugar and the vanilla essence and the egg yolks. It'll all mix, and then you put it into the freezer, and it does its first freeze. Then you've got to take it out, and you actually then churn it again in the Thermomix because it separates. You'll get the cream and the more milk. It goes quite yellowy on the top, but by churning it a second time, makes it go beautiful. It's at that point. Are you ready for this one? This is how they make stracciatella ice cream in Italy. So on the second churning, they pour melted chocolate through it. And you know how chocolate then when it hits cold, it goes all bitty.
Yeah.
And you get like all these tiny little chocolate chips. Shut the front door, go home, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year.
You can tell we're excited about ice cream. Homemade only.
was.
Yeah, and this is the thing, is that most
You
people
could do it
don't
with
realise
coconut.
how quick it is.
You could do that with coconut
Yeah,
cream.
because I so would not put a raw egg in my ice cream. No, shoot me now.
Yeah.
Yeah, no,
sure they do.
never going to happen. No,
Okay,
no.
so just
not happening.
for those
not
of
on
you
my
that
watch.
still buy ice cream, okay.
You got the ingredients.
So it used to be, well, how we make it, cream, egg yolk, sweetener, as in some sugar and vanilla extract. That's the basics of ice cream.
And we know how to make our own vanilla extract now.
Now with vodka and your things, yeah. How about some propylene glycol, ethyl acetate, and yellow dye number 5? Let's add in some things. It says here, ice cream used to be a treat. Now it's a threat.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah, but it's true.
It is.
It's a chemical
If you don't
concoction.
eat that, it's a threat to your life.
So aldehyde is in it.
What?
Aldehyde C17 flavouring for cherry ice cream.
And remember, flavouring's got 48 chemicals in it.
48 chemicals. Ethyl acetate vapour has been known to cause chronic lung, liver and heart damage. And then they often say that commercial ice creams today not only have mono and diglycerides, disodium phosphate, benzyl acetate, monostearate, propylene glycol, sodium benzoate, polysorbate, sorbate 80, potassium sorbate, modified cornstarch, soy lecithin, high fructose corn syrup. Do you want me to go on? And then it says, and this is the best part, most of your ice cream that you buy in a supermarket and a commercial is actually air. They whip it so that you actually, if you let ice cream melt...
Oh, yes, it goes right down. I've seen that.
There's nothing to it.
Yes, so hello.
Well, you know, that recipe list sounds like some skincare products that I threw out a couple of weeks ago.
Right.
The
You're so right.
propylene glycol, the
Sodium benzoate.
Whatever started this?
Do you know what? I want to go and get some Domestos and see what's in that. I reckon it'd be the same stuff.
I do too. I just am blown away that they're allowed to sell this as food.
I don't get it.
I don't get it either. And, you know, it is easy to make your own ice cream. There are lots of recipes
There's
out there.
5 ingredients in Sally Fallon's Nourishing Tradition book. You know our favourite book, Nourishing Traditions?
I love Sally
Sally
Fallon.
Fallon, Fallon. She is wicked. You should all get a copy of that book. But her recipe, which is ours, 3 egg yolks, half a cup of maple syrup, tablespoon of vanilla extract, 1 tablespoon of arrowroot, and 3 cups of heavy cream.
There you go. Done.
Ice cream.
And, you know, the thing is that I think we've been duped. And they know how to make ice cream taste and have the texture, but it's not real. It's, you know, it's, as you read, those chemicals are terrible.
I remember when I went to the States many, many moons ago. I was 19. Yes, it was about 2 years ago. I went to the States. Well, it wasn't the States.
She's wise for 21, isn't she?
Aren't I? A little wrinkled too. Life's been
Had a
hard.
hard life.
Life's been hard. But I went to Hawaii and got a taco. And instead of having meat or mince in there was meat flavoured paste. Nice.
Meat flavoured paste.
Nice. Yeah. From Taco Bell?
That's not good.
Nice.
That's not good at all.
So I think this is the thing, though. I think we're such a hungry planet, and we're such a planet of consumption, that we're coming up with all these other ways of making chemically based foods just to make it go further. But the other side of it, though, is that we're abusing our animals dramatically.
And we're
we've
abusing
lost-
our bodies.
Yeah,
We're
well,
abusing everything.
You know, there's a book that
And then we
I bought
become
with
angry
you.
and depressed and upset and
I know. Do you remember when we were at the Crystal Castle? We bought that book by that Michael Tuttle, The World Peace Diet.
Yeah.
And he actually says in there, which I think is so fascinating, and I know that this is not a podcast to be on a soapbox about animals, but I think that there was probably a bit of congruence there, in that what we do to each other, we're doing to our animals. We're enslaving each other, we rape each other, we abuse each other, we trap each other. We are angry, we are bitter, we are twisted, and we do all of those sorts of things to our animals too. You know, we rape our animals, we pillage our animals, we trap them, we keep them enclosed, we abuse them.
we give them drugs.
We give them drugs.
We feed them the wrong foods.
And we force feed them.
We force feed them. We just...
And then we go and eat them. So, I mean, those cows, those
That
cows...
energy, that energy is going
Well,
into
it
us.
can't not have an influence. I mean, just even thinking about dairy alone. Injected with the corticosteroids, having the babies taken away from them, the stress that would cause on an animal, I mean, imagine that on a human, but the stress that causes to an animal, and then we go and drink that milk, what has actually happened to that? And the consumption...
It'd be interesting if Mozimoto, whatever his name is...
Miyamoto.
That's the one.
Well,
if he photographed the molecules of milk like that.
I think it would be fascinating. Our cows now, one cow is producing up to 50 litres of milk a day. 50 litres of milk, one cow.
Wow.
50 litres of milk a day.
So they get milk twice, don't they?
Yep, morning and night.
Morning and
And
night.
you see those big udders. They're huge.
And they can hardly walk.
Yeah. So let's look at alternatives to the milk. Let's look at the nut milks that are out there. So if we look at the commercial nut milks...
Oh, don't do it.
Yeah, no, there's no...
Yeah, no, don't
because
do
they've got
it.
sunflower oil in them, they've got guar gum, they could have carrageenan in. There's so many things that they're adding. They add sunflower oil or they'll add canola oil to it. If you need to read...
Flavouring. Some of them have flavouring.
Some of them have flavouring.
When I first got off dairy and I was drinking almond milk, I was buying an almond milk that had 11% almonds in it.
Oh, nice.
11%.
Okay.
And I was struggling to get anything that was over 11%. There was an 8% and a 4% and an 11%.
How do we make a nut milk then?
Well, I have a good rule of thumb. And like my favourite at the moment is Brazil nut milk. It is just absolutely beautiful.
You like your big nuts, don't
do
you?
like
Did you say that you did? Of course you're going to go there, skanky ho.
But I love my Brazil nut milk. I really do. But I make almond milk and I make... you can make sesame seed milk. There's so many milks that you can make. Any nut that you've got, cashew milk, you can do it. So what I do is I soak my milk. My nuts.
One should always have soaked
I
nuts.
soak my nuts. This is my rule of thumb. 80 grams of nuts to 400 ml of water. Mm-hmm. Okay, so that's the rule of thumb.
Soak your nuts.
Soak your nuts overnight. And then there are two ways that you can produce the milk. You can throw it in your Vitamix or your Vitamizer or your blender or your Thermomix and blend it until it's really fine. And then you can put through a nut bag and a nut milk
One
bag.
should always have a nut bag.
Nut milk bag. A nut milk bag is, you can buy them at the health stores. They've usually got them. Or you can just go get some muslin.
I was going to say muslin
Just
cloth.
muslin cloth.
Okay.
Yeah, just from down the road. So what I usually do is I have my glass jar or a big glass pot. I have a sieve and my muslin cloth. And then I would pour that through and wait for it to sift through. And then I pull up all the sides of the muslin cloth and I milk it like a cow.
How cool.
To get the rest out, I milk it like a cow. So that's one way of doing it. But I find I was wasting way too much nut. Just wasting way too much, and I didn't know what to do with it. And somebody said you can dry it and make flour, or I could throw it in my compost. But I felt like I was wasting beautiful nut. So I actually bought myself a machine.
What machine?
What machine?
Yeah.
Did you get two?
Did I get two more? No, I didn't, but I can buy you one.
So you listeners need to understand the rule
I
of
don't
thumb
believe
with the
this.
Up for a Chat girls
I don't
is if
believe
one
it.
person buys something, they actually have to buy three. And clearly the rule has been broken. We didn't know about it.
I don't know what you're talking about. And
No.
when I find out, I'm going to launch across this table. You will find me
Strangle
on...
me.
No, I will be on your lap. Now, what have you purchased?
All right, I purchased a machine that I was told was the best thing for nut milks, and it's called a Hurum. It's called a Hurom. It's available worldwide.
I'm looking it up. I'm looking it up.
And she's going to buy one,
H.
but I can get you one wholesale. I just need you to know that.
Okay.
Oh, now everyone's going to know what it is.
Yeah, I know.
H-U-R-O-M.
Huron. Hurum.
Don't believe it. I can't believe you even told us about this.
This is so rude.
This
so
is why we have
selfish.
podcasts, so we can teach each other
No,
things.
this is selfish.
My husband said to me, Howie says to me, he goes, I thought we bought the Thermomix so we didn't need anything else. I said, the Thermomix does a great job, and if you don't make a lot of nut milk, it's perfect. But my Hurum, I tell you what, the amount of...
It's like a juicer.
it's a juicer, but it's the best thing for nut milks, the Hurum.
Could I use my own juicer? I've got that Lexan juicer.
You can try. Try your own juicer, but the juicer I had, and I can't remember the name of the brand, didn't do it.
Okay,
Just didn't do
so
it.
spill your guts. Tell us.
So what I do is I soak... if I want a sweet milk, I actually soak my dates in there as well. So I'll take... Yes. So I'll soak about 10 dried dates in there that haven't got any palm oil or any oil on them.
In the Hurum?
No, not in the Hurum. I'm still
In your bowl.
soaking. I'm still
In your bowl.
soaking. So I'm
Okay.
soaking my nuts, my dates, and my water.
Okay.
And then I put it through the Hurum, and I really very little of the nut is left, and the rest is juice. So I've made.
What does it actually do then? Does it make the particles so fine that you're keeping more of the nut in there?
Yeah, it does. It actually makes it easier.
Now, listeners, they are retailing at $400. Is that a reason why we thought she couldn't get the two? Three extra? Two
that
extra?
means it would have cost me $1,200 for the three.
I don't think that's any excuse.
I don't either, actually. If she'd rung us, we would have said go for it.
Too right.
Okay, so that, and how much milk do you get out of that 80 grams of nuts with 400 mils of water by the time you've sieved it and Hurumed it?
Well, so I probably put I do double of that because I want to get at least a litre. But this is what I was doing in the Thermomix. What I do with, and blenders and things like that, what I do with this is I actually would probably I've got to think of how much my jar is, because I have a standard jar. And so I probably put in a litre of water to 160 grams of nuts. And then I would probably put in 10 dates into that.
Wow, that's not a lot of nuts. I don't do anything like that.
No, it's not a lot. And then you put it through that and you'll get a litre of water out of it. You'll get of milk. Yes,
isn't that interesting?
Liquid.
I think I must make my nut milk too strong. I love strong nuts.
Well, you know what? The thicker you want your milk and the stronger you want your milk, the more nuts you put in it. It depends on what you like, but that's my rule of thumb. That's how I do it.
If Kazza does that, then surely you could do what you do with coconut cream and just add a bit of water
you
to
do
make
with
it a little
coconut
bit.
cream.
Yeah.
So with this beautiful milk,
Here we go.
I've been making the most amazing chai teas. So I make my own chai tea, and then I do about...
Have you? I just want to check with you, Karen.
No, she hasn't invited me over.
No. And how far apart do we live from her? Really?
Oh, 3 minutes?
Yeah.
No.
You know,
I don't know about you.
girls have to realise I'm making something new.
We need to leave.
I think it's time.
Finish the podcast. It's your podcast now.
Over to you.
Yeah.
You're
Up for a chat with Cyndi.
How does that sound?
Yeah, not very communicative now, are we? No. Go carry on.
Please. Kim, I'm going to be ordering a Hurum online. Would you like one?
Honey, are you serious? Thank you so much for thinking of me.
Yeah.
I really appreciate that.
Nice.
I said I could buy it wholesale for
What colour would you like? White, black, silver, dark, grey, red?
Red.
Or ivory?
Are you on an Australian one or an American one? Because remember, then you'll have to pay postage and handling. I can get it to you at my office.
Oh, now she's coming up. She's coming up.
She's
with
trying to
goods.
make up for it now.
So,
And you know what? Why don't we make it if somebody wants to buy a Hurum that they
Facebook us.
Facebook us and
we
we'll
could
get
do
it
a bulk
for them.
order.
We'll do a bulk order. There you go.
Bingo.
Done.
All right, you're back in.
Right.
All right.
I'm back in.
Okay,
You've made up.
you've
I'm
made
back
up
in.
for it.
Okay, so we need to put a date on this, though. We need to put an end date, because this podcast could... Everybody will be listening to this podcast, like, next week.
That's true. But they can always buy it from Changing Habits.
Oh, they can?
Yeah.
Oh, you can get your Hurum from Changing Habits.
Hurum.
My husband's going to kill me.
No, you can't say that. No, let's put a date. Well, while you can't, look, we're coming to the end of the podcast. There was one other question. I'll work out a date while you're doing this. One other question was, what?
What about milk?
Yeah.
Look at you, Cyndi.
Oh, my gosh. What have I
You were
done?
going to tell us what you do with your beautiful milks. What do you do?
And talk about calcium to finish up.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what I do with these milks is I'll make lattes or chai teas, or I'll use them in my recipes. So I don't buy milk anymore, except to make yogurt. That's the only time I would buy it.
Could you make yogurt with the nut milk?
Well, I haven't tried it, and you know what? That's probably something that I need to experiment. Well, we have done it with the coconut milk,
and
it works. Yeah.
So cashew nut milk, because a cashew nut yogurt would be spectacular. Because with my cashew nuts, I don't know, I take a bowl and I fill the bowl with nuts, and then I cover the nuts with water plus an extra 2 centimetres, and then I soak that overnight, and then I rinse them, and then I put them through the Thermomix. Sometimes I might soak them for overnight and the next day, just to get a little bit of extra softnicity.
Do you change the water?
I do. I change the water twice. And then I throw them into the Thermi, and I let Thermi do her work for 2 full minutes. And by then, the cashews have been completely pulverised, and you can't sift it.
Oh, that's brilliant.
Yeah, you can't sift it.
That's even better.
And depending on
So
how...
you can shove your Hurum.
Well, can you do that with Brazil nuts, though?
Well, the Brazil nuts are harder.
Yeah. So it'll only be the cashews
Cashews or
because it's softer.
macadamias. Cashews or macadamias you could probably do it with.
Probably with macas.
Okay.
I haven't
We're
tried
going to
with
do some
macas.
experimenting, right?
Yeah.
But let me just tell you, with
Okay,
that beautiful
go.
thick cashew, you can either add water and make a milk, or throw a bit of salt and pepper, dash of lemon juice, and you have the world's most fabulous, wait for it, mayonnaise. With the lemon juice in it. Stop it. Shut the front door. I can see your faces. I know.
Really?
Rabbits in headlights you are. Yes, you are. And it's absolutely spectacular. So if you took that...
So your nut milks are quite thick.
Well, the cashew one I do make quite thick, because I use it as I make it thick, and then I separate it. So I have a little jar over here that I use for my mayonnaise, and I have a little jar over here that I use for my cream when I want to put it over my bananas with a little bit of rapadura sugar or some coconut sugar syrup over the top for a dessert. And then I have a jar over here for my milk, which I'll use when I'm making my extraordinary nut porridge. And
So you haven't tried that with like a chai tea or anything like that? Have you made...
I've used it as a milk in my coffee.
Oh, and that works well?
It separates in
that's
the
what
coffee.
mine-
Yeah, whereas mine
separates.
doesn't separate. Mine does
Look
not
at it,
separate.
look at it, look at it. Look at its nose in the air. Honestly.
But horses for courses.
off.
Horses for courses. So the cashew would be great
That's all
for all of these other things. But like, there's so many. This is the thing, is that
She
we
really
think,
is the milkman's daughter. She really is.
Yeah. But I'm actually saying, maybe milk's not the good thing. Let's go for these nut milks, and these nut milks are absolutely beautiful.
Well, it makes sense, Cyndi. I mean, back to my very first
Okay, so
point.
here's the question
We
then.
can't be born to drink cow's milk.
Okay.
She's
No,
stressing.
I'm
She's
with
stressing.
you, but
She's stressing.
I'm hearing it. But now's the a question that a lot of people will say is because of the marketing and the way we're taught and everything. But I might not get enough calcium from a nut milk. So give us that
Do
one.
tell.
All right, so one of the things that we realise is that if the milk is whole in its whole state, we can absorb more of the foods that are in there, such as the protein and the calcium. With milk calcium, we actually, it might have, let's say, 100, let's just say 100, I'll just put a number on it, but we might only absorb 40% of it. Any calcium they add to it, which we talked about before, is usually a calcium carbonate, which is usually a rock calcium or a coral calcium. We can't absorb it, and in actual fact, what happens, most of it you will just poo out. Sorry about that. It will just pass out through the system.
Yeah.
That is absorbed, if it is absorbed, the body doesn't know what to do with it, and it runs free through the blood system. And if you have an inflamed blood vessel, then it will get stuck basically in that blood vessel, and you'll have calcified arteriosclerosis.
Oh, wow.
It also, we're finding that it causes more lipping and spurring on the bones. So that's one problem that we're finding a lot of because of people taking calcium supplements as well as that calcium in the milk. So, look, my thing is that there's lots of calcium that we can get from green leafy vegetables such as kale and things like that. There's now a calcium supplement out there that is from plant-based, not from coral and not from a rock base. So be very, very careful with your calcium supplements. Be very careful with the calcium that's added to milk, and you will not absorb enough calcium from most of the milks out there.
So it's a marketing ploy.
It's a marketing thing. It always has been.
What about dairy milk lovers? Glass and a half. You get your calcium needs. Glass and a half of milk in each block of chocolate.
It's all marketing. Remember, marketing is not there to tell you the truth. It's there to sell a product. And I think people need to be aware of that. And, the whole food pyramid thing where milk should be a big part of our diet. I actually think that dairy is a condiment. Use it sparingly. Use your yogurt sparingly. Use everything in that way. Like, there's beautiful cheeses out there, by the way, that are fermented, that are great for the gut. But that's the old-fashioned fermented cheeses, not the cheeses that are out there at the moment. Even our hard cheeses, we shouldn't be... A lot of these hard cheeses have to be refrigerated. In the old days, we fermented the milk, we got the whey out, we're left with the cheese, we wrapped it in wax, did never need to be refrigerated.
Is that right?
No, never needed to be refrigerated.
Or wrapped in a cloth.
Or wrapped in cloth, or we didn't have to do what we're doing today. So our cheeses are not being made the proper way. I have seen vegetable oil in some cheeses, which is no need for that. There's no need. So, the whole idea of it is that use it as a condiment, use the best that you can get, and for your milks, look for your nut milks.
Unhomogenised.
Unhomogenised, pasteurised only is the only legal one you can do. If you want to go for the unpasteurised milk, then of course that's illegal, but there are ways around that.
Make your own ice cream, for goodness sake.
Yeah, do not
buy
eat ice
commercial
creams.
Don't go to dairy. What's those whip thing? What did you call it, Mr. Whippy?
Mr. Whippy.
Mr.
Don't do
Whippy.
that.
And start making nut milks and be amazed at how beautiful they are and how they can substitute. With the Hurum, it just makes it so much easier. I was just having too many processes happening with the Thermomix, and I don't have time for that, and that's why I went and bought myself.
Note the myself.
Here we go. I think on that note...
Well, hang on. I'm going to give you a
Here
date.
we go.
So
Okay.
this is coming out today, the 11th of June. So we'll give it 2013. So we can only talk about... We need... How many days do you need for people to say how many they want?
It won't come out the 11th of June.
Okay, so for those of you that are interested in getting a Hurum, along with Carren and I, because we never got one, or neither was it mentioned, but now we are the type that are actually sharing with you the information, because that's the kind of people we are.
Not like Cyndi.
No. So we're saying that you will have until Monday, the 1st of August at 5 p.m. to email into Changing Habits. This will be all up on our Facebook page.
Yep.
But just if you're interested in getting a forum with us, then you'll need to get in touch with the Changing Habits office. Yeah? Mm-hmm. And we'll have that all up here. In fact, you'll see it underneath this, where you download this. We'll have the information.
It'll be right there.
It'll be right there.
And it'll also be on the Facebook page, so make sure that you check it out.
Yeah.
All right, so we're good. Our work here is done by the looks of it. Not only have we humiliated Cyndi,
We've ordered a Hurum.
we've ordered Hurums. We've re-educated the marketplace on
would you
how...
like to come over for a cup of tea?
I'd love to, love.
Yeah.
Should we do that now?
Oh, that'd be lovely.
I actually want everybody to know why we never have cups of tea together. Because last week you were in Perth, I was here, and you were in New Zealand, and then the week before...
So again, note, it thinks about inviting us for a cup of tea when it knows that we are not around.
How convenient. Because she knows she doesn't need to invite us for a cup of tea.
All right, I have an idea. We could do the podcast at my place next time, and I will make you...
Okay, done.
You done?
Easy.
He's here. Yeah,
All right,
yeah.
you're on.
Yeah, let's do
Okay,
that.
fine.
Okay, good.
They're happy. Thank God.
On that... Okay, on that note, we must finish, girls. Come. Okay, so do us a favour. Jump onto the Facebook page. Let us know about your Hurum. And you're going to find us on the facebook.com/up for a chat. Or you can also visit us on the wellnesscouch.com/up for a chat, where we'd love to hear all about your stories, your ideas on dairy, recipes on ice cream. So join us next week on Up for a Chat and be part of the ripple effect that's changing the world. We'll see you on the ride.
This has been a production of TheWellnessCouch.com. Check us out on Facebook and join in the conversation on Facebook.com/The Wellness Couch. Subscribe to each show on iTunes and check us out on Twitter. The Wellness Couch, streaming wellness into your lives. Hi, Dr. Lawrence Tam here from The Wellness Guy Show. You know, the big ahas in life happen mostly when we're out of our normal, everyday environment, right? If you're in need of some big light bulb moments and want to do it in a very luxurious surrounding like Fiji, well, I got something for you. Up for a Chat girls, Kim Morrison, Cyndi O'Meara, Carren Smith, and my boys, the Damien Christoph, Brett Hill from the Wellness Guys, and myself will be hanging out at the Western Resort and Spa in Fiji. We'll love to have you to be part of our first BFO Wellness Retreat in September. We're taking a small group of people to immerse themselves in discovering life purpose, physical health, and well-being. It'll be 3 days and 2 nights of unforgettable memories, definitely some massive breakthroughs, and of course, we're going to have lots of fun. For more information or book your spot, please go to shop.thewellnesscouch.com. That's shop.thewellnesscouch.com, and we'll look forward to seeing you there. Take care.